Right, right. You've seen the title. You know what this is. The year 2020 has a lot to answer for. It still owes us so much. However, just in terms of WWE pay-per-views, I'm still trying to work out what this exactly was. Maybe in this video, we'll find the answers together. We'll find enlightenment. We'll find nirvana. Or maybe we'll just remember how truly weird it was. My name is Jack the Jobber. This is Very Weird Wrestling. And this is the horror show at Extreme Rules. Oh, man. Oh, God. We open with a spooky-themed opening package. Nothing wrong with that so far. This is a spooky-themed pay-per-view. Why wouldn't there be a spooky-themed video package? Well, I haven't mentioned one crucial thing yet, which some of you may already know, but for those who don't, this show took place in July. Never has a wrestling concept been so clearly the brainchild of an aging Vince McMahon. And I might be wrong, but I don't think it was ever explained to us as an audience why exactly this spooky-themed pay-per-view was taking place in the height of summer. And yes, we had other inexplicable shows in the latter days of the Vince McMahon regime. Who could forget Great Balls of Fire? What on earth? What was... But in my opinion, this one's even weirder. Why on earth was this happening? I don't have the explanations. I just have additional context. For some reason, in lockdown, Vince McMahon got really into the concept, the broad concept of just horror as a genre. And there have, of course, been horror elements in WWE before. Look at The Undertaker, for example. Look at Kane, or look at the finish of WrestleMania 41. But the thing I don't understand is that why on earth, at this point in time, did this horror genre become so all-encompassing and so inexplicable as well? Do you see the cheeky joke I did about the Mania 41? Did you? Because Cody lost and Cena won, but Cody looked weak. And see, I'm still not over it. Maybe it was the lack of a live audience that caused this, allowing for special effects and grander cinematic matches and that sort of thing. Maybe Vince McMahon just first discovered spooky as a theme at the age of 74 for the first time. But for whatever reason, during a big chunk of the lockdown era, it felt like a week wouldn't go by without Bray Wyatt being set on fire or Alexa Bliss making things move with her mind. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, because I honestly think, and maybe my brain has just exaggerated things over the past 5 years, I think you couldn't escape horror-based elements. I said it there with horror-based elements. I feel like you couldn't escape them in WWE around this time. And the worst part is, it was for no real reason. And the horror show at Extreme Rules represents the apex of this spooky oversaturation. This spooky shoehorning, if you will. Let's dive in, guys. Match number one, lads, this is awkward, I'm not going to lie to you. The show starts with quite a normal match. Quite a good one, even. It's Big E and Kofi Kingston of the New Day defending their SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the heel team of Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. There's some mad stipulations on this show, which we will get to in good time. But this one has a pretty crazy stipulation as well, guys. It's a tables match. Put the other person through a table and you win the... You don't pin them. You put them through a table. Big fun brawl to start, and that's how I brawl, and the babyfaces take control. We do get questionable tactics, though, from Large Edward, as he has Cesaro up in the electric chair position with a table behind him. Just fall through, Big E. Just fall backwards, and you win the... What are you doing? Instead, he waits for his tag partner to get up on the ropes in the ring, preparing for some kind of big high spot. Nakamura drags Kofi down from behind. It's actually quite a nasty looking bump as well, to be fair. Looks like he kind of almost lands on the back of his head, but thankfully he's okay. I've knocked Raphael over there, and I've just noticed that. Get back up there, you little rascal. He's the angry one, he is. What we got? The angry one. What's Leonardo the leader? Then the nerd, Donatello. And Michelangelo is just everyone's favourite because he eats pizza. Ooh. Raph's the boy. We get a couple of table teasers. Teasy table tease. We love a teasy table tease. And then Big E does his always terrifying big spear through the ropes to the outside of the ring. Cesaro gets laid on a table on the ramp the long way, and Kofi prepares to put him through. If you know, you know. Shout out to the Deadlock boys. He dives, but the heels recover and lift the table as he falls, slam into his face. Big scary moment. Comical payoff. A bit like I was about to say a bit like my love life, but I suspect that my own mother will be watching these videos. Ignore that one, please. Thank you. And also, why are you watching? You don't know anything about wrestling, but ignore any jokes with maybe a bit of a naughty theme. She's going to be like, why are you talking like that? Use your normal voice. What's this presenter voice about? Please don't watch these if you're watching. Stop now. Please click off. More table teasers now. Teaser tables, tables teasers. And the baby faces create a wonderful table stack. I just love when two tables are stacked on top. I'm a simple man. Kofi Kingston tries to Hurricane Rana Cesaro off the corner through the stack on the outside. I'm going to be honest, this is a huge tactical error. This is the Romans in the Teutoburg Forest. This is the French at Agincourt. Predictably, Cesaro catches Kofi in a powerbomb position. Nakamura lays in a stiff kick to help him out, and Cesaro, in a very nice finish to the match to be fair, leaps off and like super powerbombs Kofi through the stack. And we've got new tag team champions. The heels win. Title change is a bit weird, isn't it? Very weird wrestling. Because if you think about it, titles change hands less often than they don't change hands. And I think that makes this quite a weird pay-per-view. I'm struggling. I wasn't expecting the opening match to be quite good and exciting. Now, I've written here in my notes to remind myself that Kofi was written off for a few weeks after this match and encouraged Big E to try his hand as a singles wrestler. And you could argue that this was maybe the starting point that would eventually lead to Big E becoming WWE champion. So that's very nice, isn't it? Very nice wrestling. Let's rename the series. No, don't do that. I've got viewership numbers to think about. And as we all know, weird does better than nice. Yeah. The next match is Bayley defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Nikki Cross, a fittingly spooky challenger on a spooky themed show. She's wild. She's crazy. Once again, this is all taking place in July. Before the match, we get a little pre-match segment behind the curtain, and I am sad to report that this is actually not even spooky edition of Nikki Cross. This is... well, what is this version of Nikki Cross exactly? Around this time, Cross is teaming with Bliss in a classic oddball pairing. It's an age-old wrestling trope. One's all blonde and brassy and princessy, one's all wild and crazy and Scottish. But then gradually, through teaming with Bliss, Cross kind of lost her wildness and craziness a little bit and just became a siffle. That's a slightly intense, friendly lady. And that's just sort of her gimmick at the minute. It's a little bit unfinished in my opinion. Like, it's Nikki Cross, she still dresses and looks like herself. She's just slightly friendly now. This leads us to one of the single most patronising backstage segments I've ever seen. And not in a really straightforward black and white 80s good guy, bad guy sort of way. In like a children's TV. I feel like I'm watching the Teletubbies. Dipsy's the best one, by the way. Of course I have a favourite Teletubby. What's yours? If it's not Dipsy, then you should rethink your decisions. Who prefers La La? Anyway, the backstage segment, Cross is about to head out for her title match. Bliss is accompanying her, and who's there to wish them good luck? It's only Asuka and Kairi Sane. They're all hyping her up by making her repeat positive phrases like, I can do anything, I can beat Bayley, and she's like, oh, thanks you guys, I really feel like... that's not gonna fly. She's like, thanks you guys, I really feel like I can beat Bayley now. I just went in two-footed there, didn't I? They're about to head out for their entrance, and then Kairi Sane says something so strange. She goes, and remember, even if you lose, we'll still be your friends. And everyone gets really awkward about that, I guess because Kairi brought up the very possibility of losing after they'd all just been so positive. And I get it, sort of, but this feels like kind of Dora the Explorer on acid. It comes across like it was written by an absolute madman. Well, Cross makes her entrance with Bliss, Bayley makes her entrance with arch frenemy Sasha Banks, and they are on the same page at this time. They're both currently the Women's Tag Team Champions. Bayley holds the SmackDown Women's Championship as well, and Sasha is challenging for the Raw Women's Championship later on in the night. It's all looking good for the Good Wrestling Women who do good wrestling, official tag team name. The story early on is the unconfident underdog challenger versus the very cocky heel champion. Bayley demonstrates this early on by shrugging off an early waistlock attempt and giving us the big double gun show. Strong wrestler, mighty and strong. Nikki backs Bayley into a corner, gives her a big slap. Wow, that's the best one I've ever done on camera. Way too proud of myself. Nikki backs Bayley into a corner, slaps her, and Bayley sells it like prime Ric Flair, like she's hurt and overpowered and physically shocked by this. And I'm just struck by the realization that, man, Bayley has always been great, hasn't she? Nikki Cross builds up a head of steam at this point, so Bayley bails to the outside and gets hit with a crossbody. Oh, I'm the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep me down. You're the best. Bayley gains control of the match with some very dirty brawling on the outside. But when Nikki gets trapped in the ring apron curtain bit, she crawls all the way under to the other side of the ring. Bayley goes to find her, and Nikki pulls the old switcheroo. There's a very pleasant old school feel to this match, in my opinion. I'm thinking, like, who's the road agent on this one? Vern Gagne, perhaps? Is the AWA coming back? For any newer fans of wrestling who've stumbled upon this video, Vern Gagne, old school, AWA, fascinating rebel promotion during the heyday of the NWA, which was a big territory system. Bayley's back on top when the match gets back inside the ring and gets some near falls off a belly to Bayley and a big superplex. She bails back again to the outside. Quick hug for Sasha Banks, but that's Nikki's cue to start making her babyface comeback. The challenger scores a couple of near falls of her own and hulks up, ripping off the outer layer of her gear. Bayley tries to stop this, but runs headlong into the middle turnbuckle. And she's just really, really good in this. Not doing anything flashy, but just executing everything she does really well. Oh, there's serious analysis in these videos as well. Sometimes. There's a sprinkling. Nikki hits a lovely draping rolling neck breaker off the apron, rolls Bayley back inside. No sells a big clothesline. It looks like Nikki's about to win the match, but then Sasha Banks gets involved, sneakily handing her tag partner the brass knuckles, or as Michael Cole calls them on commentary, that thing that says boss on her hand. Sasha then distracts the referee by having an argument with Bliss on the apron. This allows Bayley to use the thing that says boss on Sasha's hand usually, but now on Bayley's hand, punching Nikki in the midsection, hitting the rose plant, and retaining the title. Boo, you big bully. Why would you do that? Now, this isn't like a match of the year candidate or anything, but I found myself really appreciating it for what it was. Both women did a really good job with quite limited time and limited roles, and they just did everything really, really well in a nice old school kind of way, which is lovely. But pathetic for this series. This is meant to be very weird wrestling, not very underrated wrestling. I'm livid. We'll see more of Sasha later on, but this result would ultimately lead to the breakup of the team between Nikki and Bliss. That's because after losing a rematch with Bayley on a future episode of SmackDown, Cross would shove Bliss to the floor, storm off, and leave her alone in the ring, and the show would end with The Fiend arriving and putting the mandible claw on Bliss. And as I've written here for myself, this would somehow lead to Bliss aligning with The Fiend and becoming like his very loyal servant, then feuding with Randy Orton herself, then betraying The Fiend in his match against Orton at the following year's WrestleMania. Was any of this properly explained? Not, a bit? No, it wasn't. Fast forward to now, the time of recording, and we know that Bray Wyatt has ultimately tragically passed away. Nikki Cross is in his tribute stable, the Wyatt 6, and Bliss started off being quite spooky, but as I record this, she's not that spooky at all, and is also not in the stable, and it doesn't look like she's gonna be. That, by the time this goes out, that could have aged so badly. But I'm gonna look really cocky. I don't think it's gonna happen. Oh, I'm scared now. We'll see obviously more of Bray Wyatt later on in this show, in the main event in fact. And seeing him on this and watching it back made me really miss and really appreciate his very unique brand of creativity. I just don't think that Vince McMahon was maybe the right kind of vessel to channel that creativity, but I'll delve a little bit more into that later on. Next up, instead of a match taking place, we get a match not taking place, which is very revolutionary, so well done Vince there for this one. This was supposed to be Apollo Crews defending his United States Championship against MVP. Ballin'! It's fun to mimic. The story here is that MVP wanted to manage Apollo Crews, who said no, because he is a good babyface, upstanding and strong. So then Bobby Lashley attacked Apollo Crews on behalf of MVP, and now Crews is too injured to defend his title in this match. So the match is off, but then why are MVP and Lashley making their entrance then? What's happening? Well, MVP gets on the mic and cuts a promo gloating about Apollo being too hurt to defend his title. He then goes to ringside and fetches a new US title belt design and poses with it in the ring. The heels leave all smug, posing and everything. Way, MVP's the new champion, losers. And the commentators all the while tell us to just ignore everything we're seeing. This isn't a recognised title change, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, why am I wasting my time watching it then, Michael? It's nothing against Michael Cole personally. He's just the channel through which I am fuming at Vince's booking decisions. This would lead to Cruz beating MVP in a feud, retaining the belt, but then dropping it later on to Big Bobby Lashley. So what was the point of any... I don't really understand. This segment on this particular show was like admin. It was like checking your emails at the start of the working day. But don't worry, because next, oh boy, this stipulation caused a bit of a stir when it was announced at first, I think it's fair to say. And it certainly remains, in my opinion, one of the single weirdest stipulations in WWE history. I don't know how they thought they were going to carry this off well. I don't know what they were thinking here. Let's take a look. Yes, it is the infamous eye for an eye match between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Seth is the heel and has been feuding with Rey in the build-up to this show, injuring his eye on the corner, on like the edge of those oh-so-unforgiving ring steps. He also then tried to do the same to Rey's son, and everybody's favourite these days, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, which led to the announcement of this stipulation and basically this match taking place. The winner of the match is the one who removes the other one's eyeball. This is the sort of thing we'd see in like a dystopian fight league or like one of those sci-fi series which has like a jail arc where one of the protagonists gets wrongfully jailed in space jail and then has to first prove his respect by fighting some of the other alien prisoners, but then basically bonding with them eventually, teaming up with a few of the more good-hearted ones and using their alliance to bust out of space jail and resume the main portion of the quest. This is what this match is like. Wait, what was I talking about? What? Seth is a heel at this time, aligned with his underling, Buddy Murphy, and though he's kind of dialed back the cultish elements these days, I think we can see a lot of inspiration for what he is currently doing in this kind of prototype of the gimmick. In my opinion, anyway. That's my opinion. You can have your own opinion. It's the prototype for Seth's current. Seth Rollins, what I'm saying, is the prototype. Rollins heads to the ring and pulls a pair of pliers out of his ring jacket, and the announce team freak out because, you know, oh my god, he's going to use those to fulfill the stipulation. Seth then does that thing that wrestlers do when they've got a weapon to prove how hard the weapon is by banging it against the ring steps, and it goes clang, clangy, clang, which is very satisfying to hear, but at the same time, that's not why we're scared of the pliers, Seth. Do you know the stipulation? I assume you do, because you brought these pliers to the ring. Just a smash cut to Seth trying to, like, blunt force the eye out of Rey. Oh, that's a horrible image, Jack. Seth awaits Rey's arrival. Rey jumps him from behind while his music is playing. Oh, and then we get eye teasers. Teasy tease, eye teasers. Teasers are back from the tables match, but now in eye form. Seth tries to take Rey's eye out with the ring steps. He tries to use the end of a kendo stick. It's all really good stuff. It's all great psychology. It's all great psychology. Wow. What can I say? Now it's time for a Metal Gear Solid style cutscene in the middle of the action. Rey's all on the floor like, ah, you bitch, I hate you. Seth's all like, it didn't have to be this way, Rey. And then one of them is revealed to be like the other one's child or the president of the United States or something. I can't remember exactly what happened in Metal Gear Solid, but realistically, who can't? There'll be some out there who can. I know you're typing like a million paragraphs in the... Listen, I would love to know the story of Metal Gear Solid. I can't wrap my head around it. Well, actually, the Patriots and Foxhound and blah, 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 blah. Listen, I remember the vampire. I remember the vampire and I remember the old man in the bushes. Sounds like Halloween in Newcastle, actually. More psychology in the match now as Seth tries to just jam Rey's eye with a pen on the announce table, and then Rey hits a drop toe hold, sending Seth face first into the corner of the announce table. At this point, it's really funny because the ref and the commentators are all kind of like speculating. Oh, is the eye out? Oh, no, like as if they're checking to see if both feet have hit the floor in a Royal Rumble or something. They continue to struggle back and forth as the crowd busy themselves by doing Sami Zayn's chant. You know, well, not his theme tune, but you know his old ole, 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 ole. Yeah, fair enough. Now, this isn't unusual on the surface because in the latter days of the Vince regime, fans would chant Sami Zayn related things in a similar way to how they'd chant CM Punk related things to express dissatisfaction with whatever they were seeing. I was there in person in the main event of WrestleMania 32, and there were a lot of Sami Zayn chants going on, among many other things. But, like, why is it happening here? Because the crowd is entirely comprised of performance center trainees behind the plexiglass. What's going on? Get your cattle under control, Vince. I'm not saying that they're cattle. Vince sees them as cattle. I'm not saying that because I see them as people, and I like people. Apart from Nick Dinsmore. More eye psychology now as Seth tries to run Ray into the lesser spotted sticky out kendo stick variation. Then Ray breaks the kendo stick and tries to use like a splinter from it to get the eye of Seth and manages to do it. Like it's in there. Well, in a wrestling sense, I'm sure it's not actually, but they make it look like it is. And that's not, it's just a classic false finish, guys. It's like someone getting their boot on the ropes. Rollins is like, well, you can imagine, you don't even need me to do it, but I will. Rollins is like, you know, because he's a South Park character now, apparently. And he feeds into position for the 619, takes it, and Ray's about to win this match if he can get it out. They head to the outside and struggle over the corner of the ring steps. That's how this whole feud started, remember. It's wrestling. It's history. It's ridiculous. They're struggling over the ring steps. Who can force the other ones? And neither man can gain control. But Ray clearly has two finishers stored because he breaks away and then charges back in with a stomp. That's not your finish, you naughty. You are teasing me. Seth is pretty much beaten now. He's raised for the taking. So it's time for another Metal Gear Solid cutscene as Ray, for no discernible reason, peels away the protective thing he had in front of his eye, which was injured in the build-up. Well, I don't even know what he's doing. It's the Romans at Teutoburg Forest. It's the French at Agincourt. It's a huge tactical blunder from our brave boy. Ray starts to jam Seth's eye into the corner of the ring steps. And I'm trying to work out as I'm watching this why I find it so funny, because on the surface what we're watching is very visually brutal. Like, if it was in a film you'd be like, whoa, hang on. But because this is WWE in 2020, an era in which not that long ago we'd seen things like, whoa, let's end a Hell in a Cell match via DQ. You've been covered in dog food. It doesn't fit at all, the vibe. And it doesn't fit Vince's vision as a booker, really, does it? Which is starting to make me think that at this stage of his career, Vince maybe had lost all semblance of long-term vision. And I would be correct in assuming that, yes, of course. Anyway, Seth gets out of it with a no-look, low blow, backwards kind of thing, then regains control with a super kick and a stomp, and it's time for the big finish. Seth jams Ray's eye into the corner of the ring steps, and then backs away, waits as the ref checks on him, goes in for a second go, and then whatever he sees, he's like, oh my God, and Seth has to recoil and turn away, and the bell rings because apparently Ray's eye is out. All right, there's screenshots out there on the internet of Ray holding what is clearly like a ping pong ball, like a painted, like just a little white ball, clearly an obviously fake eye, holding it sort of near his face to imply, oh no, my eye's out. But, and I don't want to crap on the effort of either person involved in this match. It's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Officials and Dominic all run out to check on Ray, and Seth turns away and goes bleh, and just pukes all over ringside. And you know that backstage Vince is absolutely loving this because he is a weird, evil, poopy demon fart demon. That's an official term. Vince loves bodily fluid humor. We've gleaned this over the years. Anyway, Seth is like a bit of an interesting character bit here. Seth is like regretful and he's looking around and the crowd are all booing him and he's like, for a minute there, I lost myself. Yeah, he turns it to Tom York. Where was I going with... It never went anywhere with his character anyway. He didn't turn face because of this. This would lead to Dominic's official WWE debut match as he would try and do a bit of a revenge mission against Seth but lose to him at SummerSlam. But then at Payback, Dom would team with his father to beat Seth and Buddy Murphy. These days, Rey Mysterio is still Rey Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio has undergone a bit of a transformation, hasn't he? He is currently a very cheeky, mustachioed, chicken tender-loving love rat with lots of heat from the crowd, but almost seemingly a limitless supply of goodwill from the audience as well. It's not a bad position to be in. Dom is OP, as I've heard the online people say, which I'm led to believe just stands for overpowered, but okay. Back to the announce table, and they are sad about what has just transpired. Very serious indeed. Look at Byron Saxton's little face. It's all right, mate. It's not real. Backstage, you know, not only do we have serious announcer voices, we've got serious wrestler voices as well, as Bayley's doing an interview and is so concerned about what's happened to Ray. Oh my God, you guys. She has a message for Ray saying, I've been a fan of Ray since I was a little girl, and if you're listening, Ray, and she looks dead down the camera and says, if you can even see me right now. You're not seeing double vision. I still have 2 titles. I'm like, that, to be fair, that's really good from Bayley. She always has the banter. Bayley brings Sasha Banks into frame and they heelishly agree with each other, ha ha ha, that Sasha will absolutely win the Raw Women's title and they'll both leave as double champions. And Sasha's match against the champion Asuka is right now. This is the longest match on the show, by the way. It goes like 20 minutes. This led me to wonder, and I don't know the answer, but I wonder how many times over the entire history of WWE pay-per-views, the longest match of the night was a women's match. I can't think of any immediate candidates was the main event of WrestleMania 35 the longest? Well, surely not. Because didn't that also have Triple H Batista? I don't know the answer anyway. But what I will say is if there are 2 women you can rely upon to have a 20-minute match and not cause the audience to lose interest at any point throughout, it's Asuka and Sasha Banks. First of all, it's worth mentioning that they're in a weird spot here. I know that it's meant to be really hard to follow a great wrestling match, you know, like in any creative endeavor. You don't want to be going on straight after the person who's just absolutely killed it. But in this case, they're going on after an eye for an eye stipulation, which wasn't like good or anything. But how after that do you then give the audience just a normal singles match? Don't worry though, this match has a silly bitty finish as well. Maybe not totally WCW 2000 where the rules don't matter at all, but it's definitely got hints, little echoes of WCW 2000 where the rules don't matter. Don't worry, Eric Bischoff does not show up in this, but given the amount of screen time that man loved to have, I wouldn't have been too surprised. Asuka has Kairi Sane in her corner. Don't worry, we'll still be your friend if you lose. Bayley is in Sasha Banks' corner, of course. And then we get quite a nice high-octane start with Sasha locking in the Banks statement early on. Asuka reaches for the ropes, so Sasha breaks the hold, stomps the hand. We get handwork, which is always nice to see in pro wrestling. We also get some submission exchanges. We get some big chops. We get some back and forth striking. It's all, we get some apron-based spots, very nice as well. It's all lovely wrestling. They're both really versatile, is what I'm trying to say. More handwork from Sasha, and then a very unique submission, which is like a double stump puller, but where it's like a modified one because she hooks both the arms instead of both the legs. It's very nice. Asuka fights back with a spinning back fist and then kind of an improvised code breaker in the corner. It's all very good, very considered, very well put together wrestling. I just wish someone would try and take someone's eye out, you know? This is certified as a pay-per-view high work rate level match when Sasha powerbombs Asuka into the plexiglass at the side of the arena separating the fans or the performance center people from the wrestlers. Back inside, Asuka survives a frog splash, Sasha locks in the bank statement, the champion is in real trouble. Again, it's just good wrestling. But Asuka fights out of it and hits a really nice, like snap release German suplex. Really good stuff. Lays in some big kicks as well. Yeah, don't worry, the swamp's coming up. We'll talk about the swamp in a bit. We get a massively ambitious spot next, which actually almost made my jaw drop, where they go up top and they're going to go for, Asuka's going for it like a German superplex. Sasha, I think, like Will Ospreay or something, wants to flip out and backflip and land on her feet, but she doesn't quite do it and just fully lands on her knees instead, which must be awful. Now we get an interesting moment. Sasha hits the running Meteora in the corner, again more damage to her own knees, one would assume. Then she heads up to the middle rope and jumps off with something, but slips and crashes to the canvas. I don't know whether that was just a botch or she was selling the knee damage in like a mad bit of improvisation. Sasha's good enough to do that 100%. It's hard to tell whether something's a botch, isn't it, when one or both of the wrestlers involved are really, really good. And I just don't know what to think. I might ask Matthew from Botchamania, because Matthew from Botchamania knows what's a botch and knows what isn't a botch, and he's the expert to ask. Well, I miss Matthew, man. Bayley tries to cause a distraction now because her friend is in trouble. She gets up on the apron, but then she gets dragged back down by Kairi Sane, who goes, "You stop that now!" Bang! Bayley drops her immediately with a belly to Bayley suplex. It's like in Pokemon where you just one-shot some unsuspecting Caterpie or something because you're in Viridian Forest, but already you've been grinding with your Bulbasaur and it's already evolved into an Ivysaur. That Caterpie stood no chance because you've been grinding from ghetto to ghetto, from backyard to yard. I sell it whipped, unwhipped. It's soft or hot. Asuka gets the Asuka lock applied, but Bayley distracts the referee who misses Sasha Banks, tippity tapping out. It's a false finish. The ref then catches catches Sasha trying to use her tag title belt as a weapon. He argues with her. Asuka tries to miss Sasha when she turns around. Sasha ducks, and the referee just wears it in the face. Now, usually in wrestling, when there's a ref bump, and it's one that the ref can't recover from in time, we all know what's going to happen. A replacement referee is going to run down at the convenient moment for whatever the finish of the match is. That doesn't happen here for whatever reason. Bayley hits Asuka with the belt. Asuka's laid out. Bayley then pulls the referee's shirt off, puts it on herself, and counts the winning pinfall for Sasha. That's not how wrestling works. Bayley intimidates the timekeeper into handing over Asuka's Raw Women's Championship title belt, gives it to Sasha, and they leave all jubilant. And we've done it, it's a great victory. You know, there's nothing I love more than watching a well-paced, well-wrestled 20-minute match, and the finish means that none of what we've just seen matters at all. That's what I love about pro wrestling, yeah. It has kind of helped out the weirdness of this very weird episode, though, because, you know, there's been a lot of good wrestling as well as bad wrestling on this show. And I would prefer if the ratio was just a little bit more skewed. Don't worry, again, we've got the swamp coming up. We've got the swamp. We'll always have the swamp. In the aftermath, Sasha and Bayley really did try to convince everyone that this was an official result and that Sasha was the actual new Raw Women's Champion. But someone put a stop to that. And that person was Tron Edition Stephanie McMahon. And Steph made a bit of a misstep here, because she booked a rematch in which the title could change hands for any reason. Pinfall, submission, count-out, DQ. Surely that helps the heel challenger, not Asuka, who was wronged here. Sure enough, Kairi Sane gets attacked backstage. Asuka runs back to save her and loses the belt via count-out. Nice one, Steph. Are we all having a great Monday Night Raw? Well done, mate. It all ended up being okay, though, as Asuka got not one but two chances at redemption at SummerSlam, pulling double duty in a pair of singles matches, one against Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship and one against Sasha for Championship Red. And now it wasn't like eternal glory stuff, because Asuka would lose to Bayley but would go on to beat Sasha and win back that Raw Women's Championship. And in the words of late 90s boy band 5, I know it's not much, but it's okay, keep on moving on anyway. Bit of an update on Rey Mysterio now. Hooray! We've been worrying about him. Charlie Caruso is outside the doctor/trainer room and tells us that if Rey's eye isn't too severely damaged, then he won't sustain too much damage to the eye. What? The penultimate match of the evening and the quote-unquote last real match of the evening is Drew McIntyre defending his WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. He's here to show the world. He's here to show the world. Come on, get it up. Right, I've made a fool of myself. That theme gets me hyped every time. It's a big tune. I have a specific memory of being on stage at the Sweet Chin Disco after party after a SmackDown show in London. And I was on stage and they were playing wrestling themes and my friend Luke was DJing and he dropped the Ziggler theme. And I thought I think I was ascending to like a different plane of existence. I probably looked like a wanker though. I remember the next day waking up, checking messages and being like, I was so drunk. I remember, this isn't a cool story, it's not a good example I'm setting. I remember being told that I almost tripped Mark Henry over inadvertently because I'd been down the front of the stage, like taking selfies with people because I'm a really cool guy. And then when I rolled back on stage, apparently I almost rolled into Mark Henry, who would have tripped and fallen on me. Can you imagine if Mark Henry had landed on me? I wouldn't be here. I'm just a little lad. And he is famously the world's strongest man. Right, back to this, the horror show at Extreme Rules, that's the one, that's what I'm doing here. So the story here is that Drew and Dolph used to be heel allies, didn't they? They were a bad boy tag team. But now Drew has turned babyface and beaten Brock Lesnar at the closed doors WrestleMania to finally win his WWE Championship. But it's left him with a bit of a chip on his shoulder because his big moment, of course, was taken away from him. He did it in front of nobody. Dolph, meanwhile, is taking credit for giving Drew that kind of killer instinct that allowed him to become champion in the first place. And now Dolph wants revenge and wants to prove that he was the mastermind behind all of this. It's a good story. Drew's really confident, though, because he is Drew McIntyre, and has even allowed Dolph to pick the stipulation of the match. But Dolph hasn't revealed that stipulation yet. No. We're going to find that out right now. Dolph gets on the mic, and I can't wait. Ziggler says that the stipulation he's chosen is Extreme Rules. Drew's like, okay. But then Ziggler says, but only for me. So basically, Dolph can use weapony weapons and can not get counted out, can't get DQ'd, but Drew can, and the title will change hands if he does. Oh, what a dastardly heel. I hate you, Dolph Ziggler. I hate you so much. Theme song, really, really good. The effects of the stipulation are felt early on in the match. As Drew dominates the opening proceedings, he is a big strong boy of course, but Dolph rolls to the outside for a risk-free breather. He can't get counted out. Back inside, Dolph brings a chair with him. Drew wrenches it out of his grasp, goes to use the chair, but he can't, remember, so he just looks at it like a chocolate teapot. I'll be honest with you right now, I've never understood the chocolate teapot analogy because while I get the point of it, like how's it going to hold your tea? It'll just melt. Right, but at the same time, if you get a chocolate teapot, then you've got an entire teapot made of chocolate. That's better than a cup of tea. Ziggler gets a table out, and then hold on to your hats, guys, because we're going to get some real psychology now. Not like an 8 matches deep into a G1 Climax style example of psychology, or an early to mid 90s All Japan tag team match example of psychology, but psychology nonetheless. It's like caveman psychology. Drew picks up Dolph, is about to put him through the table, and then goes, no, and turns around and just does a normal suplex onto the floor. The psychology doesn't always have to be complicated. Back inside, McIntyre is still in control, but then Dolph hoops him in his ball sack. That's what you should have done from the start, Dolph. Now you're here to show the world that you can kick testes with ease. Quite a unique spot now, as Ziggler does a concerto, kind of, but like with one chair balanced against Drew's throat, and then he hits him in the back with the other chair, and it like jams the, bleh. So that's pretty good. Dolph brings loads of chairs into the ring, I should point out at this stage of the match, because WWE use lots of chairs when 1 or 2 will do. They love doing that, don't they? But in this match, I'm pretty certain we don't get a spot where someone lands on the big pile of chairs. So what was the point? Back to the outside they go. Drew launches Dolph like a ragdoll, as only Dolph Ziggler can do. Drew launches him into the announce table, because announce tables are legal, normal tables illegal in wrestling. That's the way it's always been. That's what we've always known. Those are the rules of wrestling. We chant holy hymns about them before we go to sleep at night, don't we? Ziggler fights back though with a very nice leaping Faymaster off the announce table, and then Drew launches Ziggler into the plexiglass at the side of the arena. Obviously Ziggler sells it amazingly, again like a ragdoll. Saying that Dolph Ziggler is really good at bumping and selling is one of the most redundant statements you can make in pro wrestling. John Cena is famous, Samoa Joe's cool, Charlotte Flair's rude in real life. No. No. Dolph discovers a rather innovative counter to the Claymore at this point, because when Drew runs to hit it, Dolph just smashes him in the leg with a chair, and that's really good. Ziggler hits the zigzag, Drew kicks out. Ziggler puts Drew through a table on the outside by jumping from the top of the ring post and kind of falling like Woody from Toy Story. But it's a really cool spot. Drew beats the count back inside though. Ziggler can't put him away, and at this point he's in full Hollywood mode. He's going like, no! Which, he's a ham, but he's a ham who's good at selling. He's a ragdoll ham. I'm just saying words now. Come on. Something quite interesting now, which I don't know the answer to, and am I just mindlessly speculating? Let me know what you think. Ziggler goes for like a big killer combination to finish off the match and win the title. Faymaster, zigzag, rock bottom onto a chair. The announce team call it a uranagi, but he follows Drew down with it. It's definitely a rock bottom. Drew kicks out. Ziggler can't believe it. Why use the rock bottom there? Was he using it around this time? What I'm trying to say is, I feel like this is a shot at Dwayne Johnson, but I have no evidence to back that up. I must know the meaning of this. What's the story behind that? Dolph then turns into a massive idiot because he's so frustrated he starts throwing chairs out of the ring. Only you can use those chairs, Dolph. Keep those chairs in the ring, you tit. This is the Romans at Teutoburg Forest. This is the French at Agincourt. Ziggler sets up for the sweet chin music. Drew kips up. Claymore, 1, 2, 3. You know what, Dolph? You deserve to lose that, mate. You deserve that. That was really, really stupid. You know what? I think this was an example of a weird match, certainly, because of the weird stipulation. But also a pretty good one. Weird wrestling doesn't always have to be bad. Oftentimes it can be good, even satisfying. But speaking of bad though, it's swamp time. Michael Cole and Corey Graves get their serious boy faces on now because it's time for the swamp fight. This is a cinematic match, which we all love already, between Universal Champion Braun Strowman and his former stable leader, Bray Wyatt. Is the title on the line? No. Are there clear winning conditions to the match? Also no. A third thing to make this sentence sound more well-rounded? No. So first of all, it goes without saying, and I assume this will be the same opinion that many of you have as well. I was a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I thought he was unbelievable on the mic. I thought he was very underrated in the ring as well. Great wrestler. And I thought that he was... I really admired his creativity, especially in a WWE, when increasingly people are encouraged to not be uncreative, but to keep their creativity within certain parameters. And I really admired that Bray always ignored those and very much did what he wanted to do. He really had a vision. However, as I said earlier, and again, I don't think this is a particularly left field opinion either, I don't think WWE was the best place often for Bray's brand of creativity, especially under Vince. What I'm trying to say in a very tentative, roundabout sort of way is that the swamp fight isn't good. And it's a gamble as well to put such a match at the main event. I know that there's no paying fans turning up to watch live, but this is still the main event of a pay-per-view, you know, of a PLE, if you will. This is still something that people are going to tune in for and expect to be a good ending to the show. Did you hear that car horn beep there? And again, I can kind of understand where they were coming from, because this only took place a few short months after the main event of WrestleMania 36, Night 1, the Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles. And even though it was really cheesy, very melodramatic and over the top, people tended to, on the whole, I think, like the Boneyard match because it was a fitting send-off for Taker and because it wasn't being done for just no reason. But the Swamp Fight, especially upon reflection, really does feel like it's just being done for the sake of it here. The belt's not on the line, as I mentioned. This doesn't really help the career trajectory of Braun Strowman in the slightest. It doesn't really change Bray's trajectory because he was already doing the Fiend thing. And I just don't know what the point of it was. Apart from, it's the horror show at Extreme Rules, let's have a spooky main event. Once again, it's July. The cinema begins with Bray Wyatt sat in his rocking chair awaiting the arrival of Braun Strowman to the swamp. This is the Wyatt swamp. This is where they lived together when they were in the same stable. So it's rather apropos, one might say, for this to be the scene of their final climactic swampy showdown. I find it hard to care, man. Braun pulls up in his big man car. Bray laughs at him. Then everything goes dark. Bray has disappeared and Braun smashes the rocking chair in sheer fury. We then get several shots of a sweaty Braun Strowman, and I imagine it's really, really humid, so I'm not blaming him, but we get a lot of close-ups of sweaty Braun Strowman lost in the swamp, going, oh, 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 and then masked minions who we've never seen before and probably will never see again arrive, and he easily fights them off. While he's fighting them off, by the way, the feed is interrupted by the Firefly Funhouse version of Bray Wyatt, who very mockingly cheers Braun on in his children's TV presenter way. It's impossible to follow the action though, because as well as all of these interruptions and static and everything, we've also got that classic Kevin Dunn style production. So when there aren't a million camera cuts at once, we also get shaky cam whenever we settle upon an actual shot. I'm cross. I've felt myself tense up there. Strowman is felled by a shovel to the back and he looks up at who did it. And it's none other than Braun Strowman. What? Braun looks up at Braun like, how? And then other Braun finishes him off with another big shovel shot and everything goes black. Is this ever explained? No. Strowman, the real one, the real Braun Strowman, wakes up chained to a chair and is seeing visions of his Wyatt family past, and we're seeing them too, as Bray appears again and walks very slowly towards Braun while his old Wyatt family theme music plays. This goes on for like 4 minutes of very little actually happening. Finally, it's time for dialogue. Braun says that he hates Bray for everything he ever made him do, but Bray says, I'm proud of you, Braun. I'm proud of your success since leaving the family, but now we should reunite and take over the world. Not the world of wrestling, by the way. Not the WWE universe. I think from how I sort of interpreted this, Bray literally means the world. Bray's saying that together we'll be worshipped while governments fall and societies crumble. And I'm like, hang on, what? I thought this was about who holds power in WWE and stuff and who's got the shiny bell. This is about taking over the world. Bray says he's been away rotting in an endless pit and now he's back and he's going to take over and everything. He wants Braun by his side and Braun's like, I'll never do that. Bray is incredibly good on the mic. In terms of being a character actor, he is possibly, there's an argument to be made that Bray Wyatt was one of the best in WWE history. It's the material for me, it's not the delivery, but the material feels very vague and kind of built upon cliches that aren't fully explained. They are joined by a veiled woman. Could it be Sister Abigail, perhaps? We don't know yet, but she's got a slippery snake with her, and the snake bites Braun, and we fade to black again. Whatever next, Braun wakes up, crouched over like the remnants of a bonfire, and then he's attacked again by the minions. It's some more minions again, including this guy wielding a pipe. Who is this guy? Does anyone recognize him? I feel like he must be a wrestler or something, but he had quite a featured role in this brawl, but never gets referenced, or I don't recognize him ever again. Anyway, Braun deals with him, he gets set on fire, and runs around on fire for quite some time. Braun is amused by this, haha, man, fire, fun, funny, but then he gets distracted because the veiled lady's back, and she unveils her face, and it's Alexa Bliss, what, Nikki Cross's tag team partner. Sorry, I know she's more intertwined with Braun. I'll explain if you don't know. We get flashbacks to the Mixed Match Challenge where Braun and Bliss were a tag team. And it was like, one's really big, one's really small. Will they fall in love? And then they didn't, and it never went anywhere. And by the way as well, this happened 2 years prior. And they're bringing it back now. My guess is that they did this because they wanted a way to kind of realign Bliss with The Fiend again and carry on that whole thing. But as I mentioned earlier in this video, so? Anyway, Bliss tells Braun to follow her, and then he does follow her. And then, you'll never guess what, she disappears, and then Bray jumps Braun, and they're brawling again. Braun wins the brawl, chokeslamming Bray off a dock into a boat. And then, because this is spooky, remember, the boat's motor starts on its own, and off it goes, carrying Wyatt away into the depths of the swamp. Braun, though, despite, as I mentioned, there being no clear winning conditions of this match, seems really satisfied with this. He's like, yes, I've certainly done it. I have won this wrestling match, and with it, surely the share of the winner's purse is mine. He doesn't say any of that, but that's what I got from his facial expression. But wait, because the boat comes back, and now Bray's not in it. It's another disappearance. It's like 4 or 5 times someone's disappeared in this thing. Strowman investigates. Surprise! It's another ambush from Bray, who's behind him. Diminishing returns on the surprise ambushes in this match, I'll be honest with you. Bray holds Braun under the water, and Braun's thrashing around, but then he stops struggling, and then it looks as though he's gone. And then he bursts through the water and drags himself onto the dock, and there's no one around. And then, surprise, Bray ambushes him again. I'm fuming. The pair are there again, brawling, and it's dialogue time once again, and Bray says, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Really, mate? Seems like you engineered this entire situation. But wait, I've done a bit of a deeper reading there. I've used my literary brain, because I think that Bray means that the Fiend is controlling him, and that he didn't mean for any of this to happen, but his alter ego has taken over his brain. That's how I'm going to choose to interpret it. And it's the correct one as well, I think. Sheer confidence in my voice there. Anyway, Braun 300 Sparta kicks Bray off the dock into the water. Once again, Braun's very cocky. He's like, yes, it is done. Winner's purse, etc., etc. Why on earth would that be the case, though? Bray's not made of lead. He's gonna come back. Water's only about that deep. We've seen them standing in it. It's in the thumbnail of this video. It doesn't even... I know Braun's tall, but come on now, it's not that deep. Sure enough, Bray emerges from the water, mandible claw on Braun, pulls him into the water as well. They struggle, and they're struggling, and the water starts bubbling and turning red, and then it stops. What's happened? And then the Fiend appears, the first time we've seen the Fiend, or Bray in his Fiend mask, and goes, let me in. And that's the end of the show, is it? Okay. Now maybe this would have been effective and not just a real cop-out ending if we had never seen the Fiend before. But let me remind you, at this point, the Fiend had been doing his thing for about a year at this stage. So I don't know why WWE were like pretending the Fiend was this new exciting thing. Anyway, this finish is enough for the Fiend to be given the win on Wikipedia. So he's won the match there, even though there were never any winning conditions as stated. I know I've harped on about that quite a bit. I'm a nerd, okay? I like stats. I like rules and reasons. And I like statistics to be correct. This feud would carry on for a little while. Braun would emerge from the swamp, having shaved his head and now declaring himself to be a monster. The Fiend would win a rematch at SummerSlam, but then the feud would, probably for the best, be entirely undercut by the long-anticipated return of Roman Reigns, now finally the heel-leaning ass-kicker that we all wanted him to be for so long. This is kind of the beginnings of the Tribal Chief. This set up a triple threat for the belt at Payback. Roman won the match, kicking off his legendary heel run at the top in earnest. Braun's trajectory after this swamp fight wasn't as good. He'd be a heel for a while, not really get anywhere, turn face, be belittled by Shane McMahon, beat Shane at WrestleMania, and then be released from the company shortly afterwards. And we all know that Bray Wyatt, aka Wyndham Rotunda, sadly passed away in 2023. An amazing creative force, a brilliant wrestler. It's just a shame that this event isn't really the best example of that. Or indeed, the best particular example of anything. What was that eye for an eye stipulation about? Why did Bayley just pretend to be the referee and that was the finish of the match? Why did Vince McMahon decide to hold a Halloween show in the middle of the summer? But let's remember as well, there was good stuff on this show too. Drew versus Dolph was good. Nikki versus Bayley was good. Most of Asuka versus Sasha was good apart from the finish. And the tables match, the opening tables match was good as well. There was quite a lot of good stuff on this show. It's just a shame that it can be swamped, come on, in weirdness when the guy in charge is an aging Vince McMahon. I have been Jack the Jobber, and this has been another edition of Very Weird Wrestling. Thank you very much for watching. Check out my Patreon if you want, patreon.com/Jack the Jobber. Earn the chance to vote on future weirdest episodes. I also do a podcast on there and that sort of thing. Still quite early days, I'm still getting used to everything, but hopefully we can carry on going strong. Like the video, share and subscribe and all that sort of good stuff, and I'll see you very soon. Might try an ending catchphrase actually. I've been Jack the Jobber. Oh, I've really frozen.